Hello, and welcome to Retire Rich Tales of Financial Freedom podcast with your hosts, Marc Hernandez and Carlos Lopez. I'm your producer, RJ Malik. Today, we're going to get to know both Marc and Carlos. We're going to start with Marc first. Hello, Marc. How you doing?
I'm well, RJ. How are you?
Good, good. Let's get to know you first. Give us a little background on how you got to where you are right now.
Well, I started out the son of a entrepreneurial father. My father was very social. He loved to talk with his friends, with his associates, and he started as a sales manager with Texas International Airlines, and then he actually started a farmers insurance agency. And I would follow him around, and I just saw the way he would talk to his clients and to his associates, and these conversations they would have, and I was intrigued, and I just wanted the opportunity to follow in his footsteps. And I said, well, how could I do that? Well, I eventually started working in the financial industry with Ford Motor Credit, and that led me to the financial services industry. I started with MetLife, worked my way up from a sales representative to a district manager. And in 2001, I went independent and started serving the community. But it was just, starting this business was basically from observing what my father did. And I really liked the opportunity to work with the public and have conversations and find out about people. It's just that curiosity came out, and I think it made me the advisor that I am today. So I've been doing this 38 years, and I feel like I have another many years ahead of me. And it was just basically a curiosity, and what people were thinking and what they were doing, and and that's what gravitated me to this business.
Oh, okay, so it was just your natural curiosity on how people handle their situations. But this, being a financial advisor it can be very challenging, and it's also something. I mean, did your past experience help you get to where you are right now as far as advising people and helping people? I mean, just to give a little background before we started this podcast today, you were helping a client who was facing a very, very difficult situation. I apologize, but I was eavesdropping on your conversation as you were going, and it was a not an easy conversation. So did your previous experience prepare you for this type of situation, or did you have to learn as you go?
uh, every every life experience that I've had has prepared me for what I do today. The What you heard, the conversation was with a very sweet client. Her and her husband have been clients of mine for many years, and she just had to tell me that that the doctors are saying he may not live much longer, and she just had a few questions. And these experiences, it's not the first time this has happened, but these experiences lend themselves to the best way to handle them, because it's happened before. So every experience that I've had with a client in the past has prepared us to handle what is happening now to our clients and our prospective clients here today and also in the future.
Okay, let's get to Carlos and get him in on this. And how did you get to where you are now? What was your road or your path to becoming a financial advisor?
Well, mine happened kind of by accident. I actually was a professor at the University of Texas for 8 years prior, teaching English of all things, if you can believe that. I taught a freshman, sophomore English. I taught a literature class in Spain as part of the study abroad program for the better part of 7 years. And during this time, in my last year, I got into a little bit of a fender bender. Somebody hit me from behind, so I went to go talk to some relatives of mine that are Allstate agents. And while I was there, I had a conversation with them about one of the other things I was doing at the time was officiating sports, 5A football, another Friday Night Lights in Texas, and I was also officiating basketball depending on the season. While I was there talking to my cousin who owns the Allstate agency, several of his clients came in, and I knew all four of them. So kind of like what Mark said, his father is very social. I'm very social. So my cousin said, "Why don't you think about getting licensed and maybe coming and doing something like this?" So I said, "Well, I have an English background. I'm not a business major or anything like that. Can I do that?" He's like, "Yes. It's about educating people on what their options are and servicing them. And there's a couple of licenses, PNC and life and health that you have to get. They're not very hard," he told me. Of course, when I studied the material, it was all alien language to me. But I persevered. I passed them both. And I was going to be able to start my own all-state agency. I was on the road to do that. And then all of a sudden, I get a phone call from some family friends that are very, very successful, many years my senior. One of them owns several pharmacies, and the brother is a dentist. And through the grapevine, they heard that I was leaving the University of Teaching and going into insurance. And they invited me to go meet Mark, my mentor, Hernandez, who we're here in the podcast with. And I got a chance to meet him after they had played a round of golf. So I kind of got interested in what he had to tell me as far as servicing clients in the other ways than just, auto and things like that. So I took a chance. Some time went by, and I called Mark back and I said, "Hey, I'm interested." So I went out in the field with him, and he said, "Hey, Carlos, I want you to watch what I do." So the very first time I go out with Mark, we go out. I remember this in Harlingen, Texas, and we go visit a little old lady at her home, and we're there for maybe almost 2 hours. And she had made some fresh papaya juice for us and everything like that, and it was just a wonderful experience to see how a financial advisor like Mark was servicing her and taking care of her like family. And to me, that was a very big thing because I was kind of in between of going into Allstate or going with a person I never met before. And the way I saw the way the Mark treated people with dignity and respect, and it just it sold me right away. Basically, I had a very good feeling about it, and it's been nothing but amazing ever since to be with him, and that's how I got into the industry.
So, Mark, then you were working with him. You were basically mentoring Carlos. What did you see that made you think, well, Carlos is someone I want to continue working with?
Well, Carlos is our director of first impressions. Okay, everybody loves Carlos. Everybody knows Carlos. I run into people all the time and say, "Oh, I know Carlos." And well, one thing that stood out for me because I was not looking to bring on an associate advisor at the time. I was very happy as a sole advisor practice. I in my previous life I had managed many representatives and had to deal with their issues, whether they weren't didn't have a strong work ethic, or they wouldn't follow the proper training protocols. But so with Carlos, I was as he was referred to me by friends, and I trusted my friends. Their what they thought of Carlos. I trusted their opinion of him, so I gave him an opportunity, and he just went way beyond my expectations. We went on a Saturday. Never forget. We went on a Saturday he was observing me in the field, and I met up with some clients that had been clients of mine for several years. And after the appointment, he went and he just went up and kept talking to them, and he uncovered some things that other assets they had. He uncovered some other things that they didn't share with me, but they felt comfortable enough with him to share it with him. So I immediately gained a new respect for him and saw that he could do well in this business, because in this business, the first thing you have to do is care, and find and really listen to people. And he had that gift. And so right then, from then on, it changed my opinion of him. And that was what, Carlos, 7, 8 years ago? How long has it been?
About 8 years ago,
Yeah,
correct.
so it was quite a few years ago. And he's still, we're like brothers now. I mean, he helps me. I train for baseball. He trains me for that. We play golf together. We socialize together. But it's in that instance, I realized that he had a skill and a gift that I didn't have. I mean, people just gravitated to him. So it was just wonderfully. It just made me feel that I'd made the right decision.
Okay, Carlos, do you think your teaching background made it easier for you to make the transition into the field you're in now?
Yes, very much so. A lot of times people get very intimidated by the financial tools that are out there for them. So coming from an education background, I'm able to bridge the gap, I think. I work together very closely with Mark and with David, who helps me set up these presentations that's able to simplify a lot of these concepts and tools for our clients so they can understand them and not feel intimidated.
Okay. So you've been working together, Mark. You've been working with Carlos now, you said about 7, 8 years. Is it progressing the way you expected it, or is it going a lot further than, or is it the results are a lot better than you thought they would be?
Well, I mean, first off, this podcast we just started the podcast. It's far exceeded my expectations, because the thing is that we're a very mature firm, and we have several hundred clients that we work with. And what Carlos is doing is he's opening up other avenues for our firm, and he's not doing what I'm doing. I'm doing one part, working with several different factions of our clientele, and he is opening new doors to other arenas that we're getting into. So we're expanding our operations, and it's wonderful because it's almost like I duplicated myself, where now we're going to be able to reach more people and offer more programs and services than ever before.
So, Carlos, Mark was talking about how he was very impressed and from the get-go with how you were able to absorb the information and how you carried yourself. What was it about Mark that you saw and said, you know what, this is a guy I want to continue to work with?
Mark's humility and just a great person. I kind of see myself as myself being Mark in the next couple of years. Genuinely cares for his clients, treats them like family, spends anywhere from an hour to 2 hours with each one of the clients that he sees. One of the first times we went out with him, besides the little old lady, and maybe the first week or so, everybody, whether husband and wife, was just leaving Mark with a hug, a tight, tight, tight hug. And I'm like, wow, that's I've known some other financial advisors, not being one and being a professor, just through, well, the financial advisors that my parents had, and it was never like that. It was a handshake, perhaps. It was respectful, but it wasn't talking about family, talking about the kids, talking about the grandkids. Mark was very proactive because he genuinely cares about their well-being and of course everything that comes in between for them. So
Okay. Mark, did your dad, was he a big influence in how you carry your business? Because it seemed,
Oh,
my
RJ,
impression
yeah.
is,
I mean, I was blessed with wonderful parents, wonderful grandparents, wonderful aunts and uncles, cousins. I mean, our whole family is very, very, very close. My dad, on the weekends, every Saturday and Sunday, Saturday morning we would get up and we'd start going visit relatives. We'd go house to house. Some relatives had businesses. We'd drop in just for 10, 15, 20 minutes just to say hi. It was just wonderful. And then on Sunday, we'd go to my mom's side of the family. So, my mom and dad were very, very instrumental in my development in regards to what in terms of family and our clientele. They're so important to us. That's the one thing we try to do is build relationships. And I tell prospective clients the first time I meet them is I say we may or may not be a good fit as advisor and client. And today we're visiting for you to get to know me, for me to get to know you, to see if there's a fit here. Because I mean, any advisor has access to many different programs and products that they can help their clients with. And we have access to those same programs. But the thing is, can we work with this client? And can they work with us? Are they going to be comfortable? And that's what we try to ascertain right away. And if they are, it's for life. We want to be with them forever.
Okay. So when you're talking to a client, and Carlos, you just heard Mark describe what, how he approaches it. Do you try to take the same approach as Mark, or are you, just because you have maybe a different a personality, different experience, different approach? Um, I should say, I guess, how do you approach a client compared to Mark, what he just described?
Basically, when I meet clients, a lot of them are people that are within my circle of influence. So I kind of already know them, and through social media, they know that I'm a financial advisor now, and they know we're obviously doing podcasting. But it basically starts off with storytelling. We kind of ask them questions about themselves, and they kind of opens up new doors to other things. And then I talk about myself, and we bridge the gap, and we kind of develop a close relationship, on just conversation. And that's the very first part of everything. It's just saying, hey, who are you? Where you come from? What's your story? This is mine, and your story is important to me. So I think this can become a very good relationships where we connect and we talk. We have a conversation about what your financial goals are, and it's going to be my job to service and to keep your financial goals on track from now to 5 years from now to the time that you're already, uh, retiring. And anything that happens in between then and now, I'm going to be responsible as a fiduciary or as an advisor to take care of you and, to meet your needs, basically to take you from your current situation to your desired situation kind of thing.
Okay, with this podcast, Mark, I'm going to ask you first. What is your goal with this podcast?
We would like to expand, uh, basically reach out to other prospective clients who have not heard our story. We would like to share our story. We'd like to share the stories of our current clientele and see if we can help them. Like as I mentioned earlier, we are expanding our operations. We're getting more into social media. We started this podcast. We're working with other clients in other areas because we're expanding our product line. So we're real excited about that. And Carlos is a wonderful partner to have in this because he's got a very strong positive attitude. He's got a good work ethic, and he's not afraid. That's one thing. He's not afraid to extend himself, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to extend ourselves to reach more people, and that's the purpose of why we're starting the podcast.
Okay, very good. And Carlos, I guess the similar question: what are you hoping this podcast accomplish
Well,
for you?
coming from an education background, a lot of my coworkers at the university had master's degrees or PhDs. And what I found was that when you sign your contract and you start working, nobody really gives you any direction or guidance on how to maximize your pension. For Texas, it's TRS, and that has a certain formula. What I learned altogether in a nutshell is that whether you have a 401k, TRS in education, the TSP for the federal government, nobody really has any help or guidance. And if they look for it, they have to ask or they have to go to a firm that probably is going to request that they already have $250,000 in assets. So their doors closed to them. What we want to do is create millionaires. From my perspective on what I'm doing with Mark, with the younger generation, we have those financial tools to help them get there. That way, everybody's a candidate for being our clients because we can help them if they fall in any one of these categories. And even if they don't, and they're self-employed or entrepreneurs, we can help them also.
It's interesting. I've talked to not only you, but I've talked to several financial advisors over the year. Even in my radio career, I talked to a whole bunch of financial advisors. And the one thing that stood out to me was the fact that when I was starting, and this may be a challenge for both of you when you're dealing with potential clients, when I was starting in my career, I focused, just 24 hours a day. It was always on my career. How was I going to get better? How was I going to make the next step up? I wasn't thinking about my future 20, 30, 40 years. How do you talk to people like that? How do you get them to start thinking about when you turn 60, 65, 70? How did that, Mark? I'll go with you
Well,
first.
you have to paint a picture for them. I mean, if you first thing you get their attention, and then you have to paint a picture of what type of future do they want. What do they want to accomplish in their life? What is their goal? Everybody's different. I mean, everybody's different. That way, you can't have a cookie cutter approach to try to solve problems or try to solve issues for your prospective clients, especially your clients who are younger. We have a lot of clients that are baby boomers. We have some clients that are still the silent generation, and then we're trying to appeal to Gen X and the millennials, even Gen Z, trying to help them to picture what is their future going to look like. And that's what we try to do. Try to say what do you want your future financial future to look like, and that normally gets their attention to have a discussion. Let's just have a discussion on how we can play a part in helping you meet your goals. Just like I said, paint a picture and have a conversation.
All right, Carlos, you think your teaching background, I mean, you're used to talking to younger people. Is that a huge benefit for you in talking to younger people?
Sure, they see me and just right off the bat, they feel very comfortable with me. I still visit the university and I still play basketball and I lift weights at the university because I'm alumni. And even at 45 years of age, I can tell when I'm playing with them, they think I'm younger. And when I talk to them about what I do, a lot of them have questions. So I say, yeah, this is something you can start off doing once you start the workforce. And they have a lot of questions about cryptocurrencies. I'm going to lie. They want to get, sometimes they see these TikTok videos and they assume that you can get rich quick. And I say, well, you need to focus on your career, make that your bread and butter before you venture off into anything else. But it's always interesting that younger generation, they're in tune with social media and with what's going on with cryptocurrency. But I just tell them you need to focus on things that are more concrete, I guess you can say.
Makes sense. Makes
Yeah.
sense. Gentlemen, we're running out of time. So what I'll do is I'll just address each of you. Mark, how would you like to leave this podcast? What are the last words you have for this podcast?
Well, I'd like the public to know that we want to get to know you. We want you to get to know us, and we want to share ideas and have a conversation with you to see where we might fit in your financial life. And that's why we're doing these podcasts, and we're real excited about it and sharing our experiences and our stories with you. And we want to hear about your experiences and your stories and see how we can work together.
Excellent. All right. Carlos, how can people contact both you and Mark?
They can contact us via our information on the website for our business.
Okay.
So
Okay.
www.mahfinancial.biz, or you can contact me directly at Marc, M-A-R-C, at mahfinancial.biz.
Gentlemen, thank you so much. It was a pleasure getting to know you, and I look forward to working with you on future podcasts.
We do too. Thank you for your time, RJ. And
All right.
thank you, public. We look forward to talking to you.
Okay, looking forward to your next podcast, and thank you for listening to today's Retire Rich Tales of Financial Freedom podcast. Please like, follow, and share this podcast with friends and family. Until next time, for Marc and Carlos, I'm RJ Malik.
Thank you for listening to Retire Rich. Tales of financial freedom. Have questions about topics covered during the show? Visit our website at www.mahfinancial.biz or give us a call at 956-994-0407. Don't forget to click the follow button to be notified when new episodes become available. Investment advisory services and financial planning services are offered through Simplicity Wealth, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. SEC registration does not constitute an endorsement of the firm, nor does it indicate that the advisor has attained a particular level of skill or ability. Insurance, consulting, and education services offered through M.A.H. Financial. M.A.H. Financial is an unaffiliated entity from Simplicity Wealth. Clicking the like button does not constitute a testimonial for or an endorsement of our investment advisory firm, any associated person, or our services. Clicking the like button is merely a mechanism to circulate our page. Like is not meant in the traditional sense. In addition, postings to our page must refrain from recommending us or providing testimonials for our investment advisory firm. Because the SEC and state securities regulators generally prohibit testimonials, any such postings are subject to swift removal.
The views expressed herein reflect the views of Marc Hernandez and Carlos Lopez as of the date referenced. These views may change as conditions change. The views expressed herein are not intended and should not be construed as investment advice, and they do not address any individual's specific situation.